The Sports Renegades podcast on SportsTownChicago.com. All right, welcome into the Sports Renegades here on SportsTownChicago.com. I'm Ryan Stuprich.
And I'm Ryan Risky. We've got another big show today. Definitely a lot of Bears and NFL talk. At 6:40, we'll have Aaron Lemming, who's a Bears insider, call in to discuss the Bears' moves and potential moves going forward. Obviously, we'll have more to talk about the Bulls, and maybe is their medical staff in the lower tier of the league.
I think it has to be the worst medical staff in the league. There's been so many problems. It dates all the way back to Luol Deng.
Another good point. A lot of NFL free agency. Cubs spring training has started.
And all the conference tournaments for March Madness have started. Selection Sunday is this Sunday, obviously. And then right now all the conference tournaments are going on. DePaul's season it ended at an abrupt halt last week. Last night, I should say, they lost by 17 to Georgetown.
Their season's already over?
Yeah, because that was the opening round of the Big East tournament. So they're done, and they won't get any postseason. And I guess Northwestern, I didn't see the game, but Northwestern got hosed at the end of a game, I guess, that there was a review and they didn't change the call. Northwestern lost to Michigan by 2 points. So that'll really
been a big upset.
So that'll really hurt their chances. If they would have won a couple games in the Big Ten tournament, they could have gotten an at-large bid because they had 20 wins. They were 20-11 going into the game. And when you get to 20 wins, that's pretty much the minimum to make the tournament. You kind of have to have your 20 wins or more. And Illinois upset Iowa today, 68-66, which was something very interesting. And that's the second round. So now they go on to face Purdue, and Illinois is on a roll right now, which is very strange and sort of hard to believe because they've been so bad.
That's not the only new news from Illinois. They hired Lovie Smith to be the new football coach after firing Bill Cubitt shortly after he was given a 2-year extension.
Yeah, I think it's a
good move.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting.
It's a good hire for them. It's just interesting the way they fired Cubitt.
Yeah, I mean, it's sort of an out-of-the-box move. I guess he was interested. I guess maybe he was interested ever since he got fired from Tampa Bay. He was probably looking for maybe an easier spot and maybe a spot where he can sort of run the show and do what he wants, and I think that's what he's going to get at Illinois.
And I think this is a great hire for Illinois.
Yeah, I think it was too, and the new athletic director, I think his name's Randy Whitman. I forget his name.
He wouldn't have fired Cubitt unless he could get someone that already had proven himself to be a very good coach and that could handle this. And I think Illinois football might be on the rise in the Big Ten coming up. Maybe not next year, maybe in a couple years, though.
Yeah, of course, it all boils down to recruits in college sports.
Recruits and running a good offensive system, because that's something Lovie Smith has not been able to do.
Right. So, yeah, we'll see how that plays out. They'll definitely be better than what they have been the last 5 or 6 years. So
yes. Anyways, I guess we'll start out talking about the Bulls and their we don't know. Yeah, no one knows what's going on.
Up and down and
Bulls.
Up and down, and it's mostly been down since the new year. So
struggling to stay at 500, struggling to make the playoffs. I mean, that really sums up this year.
It's it's been embarrassing. Obviously, I don't think Fred Hoiberg knew what he was getting himself into with all the egos on this team and everything. I mean, it's kind of crazy, and there's obviously something up with this medical staff. This medical staff is not, it's not up to par. It's not up to NBA standards. It can't be.
And then that brings you back to, Thibodeau running players' careers into the ground. Well, maybe he was, playing them too many minutes, except when they were literally going on next man up, signing guys off the street to play in important games, you're kind of starting to realize maybe it wasn't all him that was the reason players are getting injured, because now they're still getting injured. Right. Jimmy Butler misses a couple weeks with a knee injury, comes back after one game, he re-injures it.
Yeah, he comes back after one game. Clearly, he probably shouldn't have been cleared to play, and he goes out and plays, and then he gets hurt, and now he's going to miss 2 straight games. He's out tonight against the Spurs. So
right, and all these Derrick Rose nagging injuries. I mean, I know that's been going on for a while, And as you brought up, the Luol Deng spinal tap, where they almost killed him.
Right. And then even earlier this year, with Mike Dunleavy, his timetable kept getting changed. He finally came back a few weeks ago.
Oh yeah, he was only supposed to be out the first couple months, and what did he come back in February?
Yeah, he came back at the end of February, kind of. And Nikola Mirotic, of course, had his problems. He goes in to get his appendix taken out, and then he gets
an appendectomy.
And then he has a blood clot in his leg, and it was actually very serious. Apparently, like he could have lost his leg. I guess.
I'm surprised he's back.
I'm surprised he's back too.
I thought his season was over, honestly.
Well, that's what was reported, kind of, that nobody knows how long it's going to take because this doesn't happen to anybody but players on the Bulls, so nobody knows what the timetable. There's no example to go off of. It's just it's not a good situation. They're currently 8th seed. They're 32-30, but they're going to lose tonight to the Spurs. So
who knows? Derrick Rose does go off on the Spurs sometimes, and as much heat as he's been getting this year, he's actually been really good since the new year started.
Yeah, he's
actually been really good.
Yes, I agree. Of course, it still makes me mad when he doesn't play.
That's the important thing. He doesn't play.
He doesn't play enough. So, but I do agree. He has been playing a lot better. He's been driving a lot better. His shooting is still pretty bad, but it's always been kind of bad.
It's been improving slowly as this season's gone on. Except, I mean, it's been a pretty successful season. His numbers aren't going to look that great because of that awful start he had when he broke that bone in his face, had to wear that mask. He couldn't see.
Yeah. Of course, that was last summer when that happened, and that, it started them off on the wrong foot.
Where if that didn't happen, he'd probably be averaging around 20 points per game.
He could be. He'd probably have an ankle injury here or there, or he'd be sore and he wants to sit out. He missed a game a few days ago just for general overall soreness.
I remember there was a game a couple weeks ago he missed with body soreness.
Yeah, and he, I don't think people really miss because of that. So that's not good. Indiana is ahead of them, 7th seed. Charlotte is 6th. Atlanta is 5th. Miami's 4th. Boston 3rd. And they've been really good, the Boston Celtics. Toronto is the 2 seed. They've been really good, too. And Cleveland is the number 1 seed. Toronto's 2.5 games back of Cleveland.
And when you say Boston's the number 3 seed, that is the reason why they were heavily trying to get Dwight Howard at the trade deadline, to get that big star, because they don't have that big star, that can run the team. That's why they wanted to get him at the trade deadline. I'm sure that they'll still try to get him over the summer. Because
they have a great point guard, Isaiah Thomas. He's really good. And they have some good role players like Jay Crowder and some other guys.
Jared Sullinger
is pretty good. But, yeah, they don't have that big center guy. I think their center is Olnick, isn't he? And he's not that good. So
as a center, he's all right. He's probably better suited as a power forward or maybe coming off the bench as a center because he can shoot the ball very well. He's very good at shooting threes. He's an all right rebounder.
Right. Yeah, so it's going to be a stretch for them, but they're 7 games above 500. So the Celtics are doing pretty good. They're 7-3 in their last 10 games. The Bulls are 5-5 in their last 10 games. I feel like that's what it's going to be for the rest of the season. They'll be 5-5, 4-6 in their last 10, something like that. Detroit is pretty much tied with them for 8th seed, and Washington is a couple games back. And boy, have they been bad. But they were starting to get a little better after the All-Star break. Other than that, Orlando's not going to make it, Milwaukee's not going to make it, and the Knicks aren't going to make it. So when you're looking at it, the Bulls just have to beat out Detroit.
Right, and the Knicks are in a state of flux after firing Derek Fisher, who was Phil Jackson's guy, and having all those rings being one of the reasons he tried to recruit Melo to stay in New York.
Yeah.
And that hasn't really worked out. I think the kind of the biggest upset that's happened recently was Golden State not only losing to the Lakers, they scored under 100 points for the first time all season.
Yeah, they lost by like 21 points or something to the Lakers, which I can't believe it.
Scoring under 100 points, I think Curry and Thompson combined to go 1 of 17 for 3.
Yeah, that's embarrassing. It was a really bad shooting night for them. obviously 1 for 17 is not good. But then they came back, and they haven't lost since, obviously. But they have 6 losses now. So, the real question for them is, are they going to break the Bulls record? I said at the beginning of the season, I don't care if they break the Bulls record, but I didn't really think that they would have a chance. But they do have a chance, and they probably will beat it.
I don't think they will because, the Bulls, when they went 72-10, they blew out opponents on every given night. Golden State has had a tremendous amount of close wins, close lucky wins by 3 points.
They should have lost to Oklahoma City last week. They should have lost to Utah earlier in the season. Yeah.
Who was the team that Draymond Green hit that ridiculous 3 against last week? That wasn't OKC.
Okay. I'm not sure.
They should have lost to Boston.
Maybe that was the Trailblazers. I think they had a close game to the Trailblazers.
There was a game Curry missed and Green won it.
Yeah.
There was an overtime game against the Celtics.
Right.
They should have, early in the season, the Clippers blew a 20-point lead in the second half.
Yep.
They've had some good wins, except I think there's going to be a couple of those wins, those kinds of games aren't going to go their way towards the end of the season.
Yeah, I guess I agree with that.
And honestly, I think it's going to be bad for them if they break that record, because they've said that's their goal right now. And
right.
Once they do that, they're not going to have the motivation in the playoffs.
And they're going to be expected to win the championship if they go 72-10 for sure. If they have 10 losses or less, they're going to be expected to win the championship.
They're going to break that, and then some of their players might get satisfied and then not be playing up to their standards in the playoffs, and that could cause them to lose a series.
Yeah.
Now, we're not saying that will happen. It could. We've seen it happen before. Just in my job at NCTV, that happened. A school broke their own school record, went 24-1-1 in hockey, lost their next 4 games. They lost their next 4 games, which was the Conference Cup. They were eliminated in the first round of that, and they've been struggling in the Blackhawk Cup, which is the state tournament.
Well, that's unfortunate, but yeah, I could see that happen. I mean, obviously, it's hard to compare that to the NBA and Golden State.
Except it's the same circumstance. You're going for some record in the regular season, and then some players are going to be satisfied by that.
Right. And by the way, did you see Steph Curry hit another? I think it was over half court. He hit like a quarter court shot. I think that was to end the third quarter last night. He just keeps hitting those. He's hit like 3 or 4 of them now.
The problem isn't that he's hitting those. The problem is that the coaching staffs are too stupid to realize that you shouldn't be leaving him open. No matter where he is on the court. You should not. Like that game against Oklahoma City, there was 4 guys. There wasn't a single guy within 6 or 10 feet of him when he hit that shot from half court.
Yeah.
At the end of a game, you should not be leaving anyone that open.
I feel like he'd still make it, even if he put a hand up. I feel like he'd still make it.
That looks so stupid. You're leaving the best shooter in the game wide open to win the game. They didn't even, no one even attempted to go near him when that happened.
Yeah, well, I guess they were shocked, but they really shouldn't be shocked that he's taking that shot because, I think we've seen it.
That's that he can make it. He's taking that shot. Why are you not trying to defend it?
Right.
If a guy has a hand in his face and he still hits it, fine. Except if you look at that replay, there's nobody in the camera view that could have even gotten near him as he attempted to take that shot, and you knew he was going to shoot it from where he did.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, exactly. Tonight in the NBA, there's only a couple games tonight. The Bulls and Spurs on TNT at 7. I wonder if, I'm assuming the Spurs will probably try to rest some of their players.
They rested their big 3 the other night.
Yeah.
So I don't think that'll be happening tonight.
Oh, so they'll be ready to go and beat the Bulls then. That's nice. And the Cavs and Lakers are in the game after that at 9:30.
Yeah, I assume that game is on TNT. I'm just going to assume that that's going to be the final game between LeBron and Kobe.
It could be. I think it is.
I don't remember if they played earlier in the season, except that game would not be nationally televised. Unless
it wouldn't normally be.
Yeah, that wouldn't be nationally televised unless it's Kobe and LeBron's final game against each other.
Right. Yeah, it's going to be interesting. And just going back to the Bulls really quick, I mean, even this year,